Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains May 2nd through the 12th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to High School Hoops with your hosts, Steve Collins and Jake Stager.
All right, welcome to High School Hoops, episode 8624. Not true, but it feels like it some days. Anyway, like my Smartless shirt?
I didn't realize that till now. That's awesome.
So anyway, if anybody from Smartless listens, one of my favorite podcasts, if you don't listen to it, you should listen to it. I actually went to their tour when they came to Madison.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're doing it. They did a whole documentary of the 6 stops, and it's going to be on HBO. So if anybody listens to Smartless, very funny. It's got Will Arnett, Sean Hayes, Jason Bateman. Very funny. They're literally like just 2 guys talking, and they're funny. They're just like,
I might have to take your recommendation and ever listen to it, because I watched
oh
Parks
my god,
you told me that. I remember you told me like you've never watched Parks and Recs before, and I binge watched with my wife through COVID. Like literally, we got it all done in like 2 months. We watched the whole.
So funny. It's so funny.
I enjoyed it
because
I was an Office. I know I was an Office fan. I'm like, I had never watched Parks and Rec, and I'm like, thank you for that, because I loved it. It was awesome.
I remember the big soda thing. Anyway, I got to rewatch that anyway. But anyway, so
it's worth rewatching. It is
worth rewatching. Before we get started, I'd like to big shout out to our 2 sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shoe machine on the market, bar none. We own 3 of them. Tell them that I sent you. They will take unbelievably good care of you. Their customer service is second to none. And you know what I love about them is they're always innovating. You know, the CT one now has
their product. Yeah,
they are. It's not like they're sitting. Again, there's other companies out there that have not innovated like they've innovated. I'll just say that. I won't say anything else other than that. So go over and check it out, Dr. Dish.
Don't you think the key thing for them is their ability to continue to make it more opportunity to tracking and technology based, and then just the accessibility to put it away in such a small space.
Right.
They're just so much more convenient and easy to move around.
I know.
So like you were talking about, you were just talking about how you utilize, we talked a little while ago, how you utilize it in practice to be able to put those shooting machines up and put them away so quickly in the course of a warm up is incredible.
Right.
Because so older machines would take forever, dude. I don't even get me started.
So we get out of school at 3:37. We start practice at about 4:05. I can get down to the gym, get them set up, and boys can get a good 15 minutes of shots up before practice, because I can get them set up so fast. I can get the baskets down, the lights on. I can get all that stuff easy. It's like, but anyway, go over and check them out. Tell them Coach Collins sent you. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. That's one of the reasons, you know, if you go back to the story behind Teach Hoops, first of all, Teach Hoops is something I would have wanted in my 20s. I would have literally given my right arm for teachhoops.com in my 20s. That's why I built it, because it's like there wasn't anything out there. I was going to clinics. I mean, again, as you get older, and I'm getting close to retiring now from teaching, I'm going through and cleaning things out. The amount of crud I have that was not easily accessible, that it's insane. And
it's also touching on the things that most clinics don't always touch on. It's always about offense and defense and X's and O's.
Right.
Like Teach Hoops is like everything else and more. Like, so what I'm saying is like you said, when you're in 20s, like when I started being a beta member, I'm like, looking at all the things that I created. Like, I mean, I'm just going to show you here. Like, here's my stack of papers,
Right.
which you probably can't see,
You
but
can't
like,
see because it's like your
I got the
background. But
background.
yeah.
Yeah, but like, it's like 30 to 40 pages of things that I created and tools I created from how I structured my practice plans to my philosophy, all that stuff that like you really don't get from a clinic where you need to be able to do those things to be a successful basketball program.
Yes. And people don't understand that. They really
till they get into it, right?
And then it's too late.
Yeah, which
yes. And like a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the interview and stuff. It's like all that stuff. You can go buy your own course or watch your own video on it, but all that stuff's in there in the roadmap. So what is going back to the roadmap? What is the topic we're talking about?
So again, like the roadmap has about 5 different objectives for off season, but remember the key to off season is just really looking at you and your program and opportunities to grow. Okay. And that growth mindset, you can't go back to the season and dwell anymore. You have to flush it down the toilet and look to start growing. I know that's kind of graphic, but that's the reality of it all.
Well,
right?
And it's like we were just talking about my seasons ended a month ago. We were just talking about the end of my season and how, some of those things I know.
Could dwell on it, but there's nothing you can do at this point, right? So what we're looking at is we're going to do an example today of what looking at a performance gap, okay? A gap, all right? So performance gap could be anything within what you are doing on the floor. So we're talking about a skill. It could be looking at a certain statistic that is hindering your ability to win basketball games. I mean, I went to the state tournament this year and I watched a Division IV game with this group of girls. What we're talking about today is rebounding and how important rebounding is. And they won and it was like 40-18 rebounding. They were amazing and they were pushing every girl out of the lane. It was incredible. It was the best.
Let's be honest. You picked that performance gap because you watched my team this year and you knew the rebounding was one of our performance.
Yeah, but I also
Let's be real. Let's be real.
But I also think about that there are teams, if you can really get your team to rebound, because we're talking about rebounding and you said it's so hard to teach, it's so hard to evaluate. It is a hard concept to really get good at, and some teams are really good at it. And think about it this way. Rebounding is so important because it eliminates possessions for the other team and opportunities for you to score more. And so, and it's a game of possessions. And when you don't rebound well, you're just limiting your possessions. And you can't win basketball games that way.
So what's your theory on boxing out?
Oh my God. I've gone from the hit and go to the swim. And I feel like you almost have to overemphasize it because you're never going to get it the way that you really want it, right? So you might want to swim, but a swim might be just a little push out compared to the hit and go, right? Also, it might be.
I teach it as fine hit and go.
Fine hit and go.
Fine hit and go. So, and again, we can practice that. We can do drills on it and all that kind of stuff. But I think you hit, and this is what I saw later, because our team got better. Rebounding.
They did.
It got a lot better. And there was one game we got just annihilated the first half and came back second half and rebounded.
But also you had let's be honest, you had a lot smaller guards too.
A lot smaller guards.
So that sometimes hinders your progress too of rebounding too, is that there's just some things that you're not going to be as good at. So you got to be able to find ways to alter your lineup at certain times of the game or whatever because of your size. I mean, you did have a lot smaller guards this year.
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's what you really emphasize. If you're emphasizing something specific, if you're talking about something specific, if you're kind of hitting into that, I think that is they'll do it. Like if you emphasize kids getting into class on time, then they end up coming to my class on time. It's what you emphasize. And it's like part of that early season part was for me and us not rebounding is, first of all, if you've got a couple natural ones, you don't have to worry about it as much. And free throws are always a good example of kind of telling if you've got natural ones. If you don't lose any of those and you win all of those, you have some guys that just kind of know how to rebound or gals that know how to rebound. but I was more obsessed about our man defense, about our weak side, about rotations, all of those things than I was about us rebounding. And that part of that was the partly my fault, I think. And then once I started getting on them and saying how you got to rebound and blah blah blah, and I put some incentives out there as far as rewards and stuff for rebounding. I think it really definitely helped.
I even I coach my daughter's fourth grade team, and we don't track points at all, like points per game, but I gave out little prizes to fourth grade girls that rebounded and dived on the floor. So even at younger ages. So like when I'm looking at being a head coach again, that would be something that I would want all my coaches to emphasize at all levels is rebounding. So by the time they get to you, right. At that high level, that's just something that we do and we're really good at it, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't think it's something that we always talk about, though. We always talk about what offense are we going to run?
You notice it when you don't do it.
Right.
That's part of the problem. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't emphasize and it's kind of like turnovers. It's one of those things you just got to emphasize. It's got to be one of your 5 keys. But anyway, if you lose a big game, it will be because someone didn't rebound. Usually.
Absolutely.
If someone didn't do that little nuance of oops, rebound, pop. It's all, I've watched too many games to not see that happen.
So I guess we kind of talked about like that's the performance gap. The question is, what do you do now with that gap? Is it the way that you teach it? Is that something that you're going to?
Well, it's part of it's the teaching and what I talked about. Some of it is if you want to improve a skill, you got to track it and show improvement. So the tracking is the big part of it, and that's what we started doing too. Is I eventually put one of my assistant coaches. We were trying to get turnovers down. We were trying to rebound better. So we were tracking it so that I could talk about it during timeouts. I could talk about it at halftime. I could, so then we could also talk in post game about, what were we doing? What were we doing? Because if you don't track something and there's no like just saying you're
eliminating the accountability, right?
Right. And you have to have accountability.
If that player is guarding that person that out rebounded you that many times, then you can hold that player accountable for, well, if you weren't doing your job, right?
Right.
And film doesn't lie either. Those are points that you can put up. Film don't lie, right? But like my question is, like you keep saying track, but what do you do with that like gap? How are you going to improve it now? Like, is it just because you kind of talked about what you did in the course of the season, but like, what are you thinking about now? Or where is your head around rebounding?
Right. So
I think one thing you were talking about me already was like, how do you teach it? Right. And I just said, like, we're like, well, there's so many different ways to teach rebounding.
Yeah. And the thing is, when I do track it, so what I'll do is I'll go back, and especially when things, if they're above or when they're below, I will go back to the film. Like you said, film doesn't lie. And I will find I will track that specific player and find clips of them on every shot taken by the opponent. So it's easy to find the shots. And it's like, and then I'll make small playlists of them. So we can sit down for 5 minutes and say, look, what were you doing in these? And sometimes it doesn't matter if you're the best rebounder ever in the history of mankind, you're not going to get every rebound.
Also rebounding is it's an athletic thing and it's a will thing. Good athletes rebound always well because they're good athletes, but it is a will thing too.
It is. And it's also a read thing. Like the great rebounders know where that ball is going to bounce and where it's going to go. So that's what we'll spend. And that's where we track it in practice too, which is an easier, quick fix. Like, hey, the last 3 things you didn't go find somebody or you didn't go get it or whatever. I think I bought my team ice cream once because I said, if we have a varsity game and the ball bounces in the floor, I'll buy you ice cream. And we had a game where everyone boxed out and the ball bounced and then they went and got it. I'd never seen that before, so I didn't think it was going to happen. But anyway, they were thinking about it. They wanted ice cream or me to buy them lunch or something. I don't know. It was something stupid. But yes, it has to be trackable, and it has to be, you got to have, and the thing is, so let's say this is the hard part for coaches. We play on Tuesday. I'm talking to them on Wednesday. I'm showing them playlists we're not waiting 3 days because it's not going to have the impact.
It's not, because if you don't change it now, you're going to have that same problem.
Right. So we play on Tuesday and Friday, and I wait till Saturday to talk to them. It's too late. So,
and it's too important, right? It's too important.
It's too important. And it's like, so that's where I'm having that. And again, that's why coaches get sick. That's why coaches are up till 2 a.m. That's why, because we're breaking those clips and those things down to do a quick fix. Because I'll have the stats even before it goes to the cloud and Huddle breaks it down, or whoever you use to break it down. I'll already have those stats in my hand for my assistants, and they're, within a half a standard deviation, right? So they're close enough. Maybe they have 2 rebounds and they actually that stuff doesn't matter. But it's like, whoa, here's my outlier. Here's my not normal. And I've been tracking, even preseason, I've been tracking enough to know that player X and player Y were not doing what they needed to do. I got to grab them and we got to do a quick fix. And then I'll every 2 weeks, I'll check in with everybody every 2 weeks at least, even if they're doing what they're supposed to and they're above their bar or their standard that we have for them. I'll still check in with everybody that plays. But it's turnovers and rebounds are the two that performance thing is on the front of my mind. And hopefully, they know those are like my pet peeves too. So hopefully in rebounding, both of them were not very good early, so we had to take care of it.
When your company earns unlimited 2% cash back on all purchases with Capital One, that's serious business. So Steven at SandCloud got a serious business card, the Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One.
We used our 2% cash back to help build our retail presence.
Savvy, Steven.
And we get big purchasing power, so our business can spend more and earn more.
The Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/SparkCashPlus.
Okay.
Well, what else? Anything for you?
I'm just thinking, like, as an off season. So what will you do now as you continue on and think about that gap going into next season?
Yep. So we got to get stronger. So there's some things that physically that we can work on, especially now because I don't see them until the summer. So there's foot speed things, there's strength things that we're working on that we've set up for them in the off season. They're doing our speed and strength and all that kind of stuff. Because part of it is, some of it's strength, some of it's speed to be able to both find and go get the ball, and some of that strength. So those physical parts. And then once summer starts, and we get those contact days and all that, we're going back to like it's the season. We're tracking that stuff and following it. And then, I would say, I'm trying to think of the last couple summers. Well, one summer we didn't have it, but probably 40% of them are needing some huge improvements. Some of them will have made improvements since March because we'll see the strength. We'll see that kind of stuff with some of our testing. But I think all of that's really important as far as.
So I know you're a person that really doesn't teach rebounding in isolation, right? It's more of an emphasis at your level. Huh?
I don't think it works. I do it, okay. And I did, and I'm telling you, this year, you saw my team this year. We did do some rebounding drills.
Yeah.
And part of it, we did a great drill, and we had to stop it because it got actually too physical. Where you put 3 guys under, you have a guy at the free throw line, and you shoot it. Yep. And the of those 3 guys, as soon as they make 2 layups, they're out.
Yeah, we did that. We in high school we did that drill. It's called the animal drill.
Drill, and it's part of it teaches hustle. Part of it teaches finishing through contact, fouls, and all that stuff. The problem is we were getting the crud beat out of each other and like bloody nose. It's like, whoa, okay. But it's part of that read stuff too. So I don't love doing that on a regular basis, but you saw us this year. We were so bad that I had to reemphasize, like, no, this is not acceptable. And you saw our improvement. It just got better because it was part of, I don't know if it was the drills more than the emphasis. You know what I'm saying? And like we were emphasizing it in practice, we were emphasizing it in our 5-on-5 stuff.
I would say at that point then too, as a varsity coach, I think you're looking at how come when the kids are coming to me at that level, why aren't they becoming good rebounders, and what I can do, because that is such a thing that you cannot spend your entire practice plan. And you know this, right? From your 25 years of experience is that you don't have enough time.
Oh, I don't spend 35 minutes playing small-sided games and letting them develop their own. It's like,
right. So
stop.
The question
I'm telling you right now, whoever, like, send this to all the little gurus out there, because they're all like, whoa, we're just okay. Yep. You're going to get butt kicked and then you're going to get fired. So it's like, I love that. Like, it's just, sorry,
I'm being a realist. And what I'm saying is that, like, you have to be proactive at being a head coach. You're part of that community, right? You need to have a conversation with your JV coaches and your JV2 coaches and your 8th and 7th grade. This is where those are times, right, where they could be teaching rebounding and isolation and technique. So by the time they get to you, right, it's not something that we're working on, right?
Yes. Right.
That's the whole point of building a basketball program, right?
Program.
Right. So I think program.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying is like, what are you going to do to make sure that problem doesn't come back to you? Because I know that I've had friends that have taken jobs the last couple of years and they don't even know how to run help side defense. Some of these high school varsity teams. That's a problem because that coach that was before them didn't do their due diligence to work with the coaches below them.
Well, I told you this too with my COVID thing. Like when we didn't have that season, everything rippled.
Yeah.
We're an urban school. We don't have.
Right, I get it for sure. And I was like, okay, so when I'm looking at like points of emphasis, that even with the younger things, it's like rebounding, man-to-man defensive concepts, like make sure that those people are working on those things instead of the magical play and skill development. So you can be able to work on other things as a level. Like this being not able to rebound and do things with technique at the varsity level is not something that we should be having conversations about, right?
At all.
Right. And I think that's the most frustrating part, right?
Right. No, I agree. And
then maybe you find a couple good drills that you really like, or how can you infuse some rebounding like into 5-on-5? There are things that you can do. Like I have done where, I do like a circle rebounding drill where the guys are constantly like in a rotation, or you do shell for like 20 seconds and then a shot goes up and then it's up there and back. Like just working on seeing kids and technique. Like there's ways that you can see rebounding and emphasize it in the context of drills. So, you can add that little layer into your drills, but like what I'm saying is that I think your point is like teaching rebounding and isolation at a high school varsity level. It's just, there's no time for it.
There is no time. There's zero time. All right. So anything else with that topic?
Nope. I think it's just giving the people, our listeners, an opportunity to think about what something that they could work on and going forward with that.
Perfect. All right. Till next week, Coach.
Sounds good.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.